He landed on his face. The scent of burned gunpowder stung his nostrils. He couldn't breathe, like the time his eldest half-brother, Wang, had knocked him down and sat on his chest. Xian raised his head as palace guards swarmed out from their ambush. The mercenaries shouted, their horses rearing in panic. General Zhen, sword drawn, pushed through the chaos toward Xian. Rough hands grabbed Xian from behind, and General Zhen disappeared from view. Xian struggled as he was hauled toward another wagon and shoved into the back. A second explosion hit. The rear wheel shattered, and Xian's head struck the floor as the wagon lurched sharply. A man screamed as if he were being dragged to hell. Pain reverberated through Xian's skull, black and gray dots teeming like ants across his vision. But he forced himself upright. For the first time, he was unguarded. He had clenched his hands when they tied his wrists like his best friend, Feng, had taught him to, which made wriggling out of his bonds easier. As he crawled out of the wagon, a horrible groan made him turn. A mercenary lay by the shattered wheel, his face contorted in agony as he clutched his mangled left thigh. The rest of his leg had been blown off. A palace guard came up to him and drove a sword into his chest. Xian recoiled. The mercenary gurgled and went still. The guard pulled out the blade. Blood spurted from the wound. As weapons clashed, no one seemed to notice Xian lying exposed on the ground. He flattened his body, trying to make himself as inconspicuous as possible. One of the mercenaries' horses, unaccustomed to battle, charged toward him. Xian dived out of the panicked creature's way a moment before its hooves landed on the spot where his head had just been. He rolled over, panting hard. He had to find cover. As he crawled on elbows and knees toward a nearby thicket of bushes, his fingers dug into the soil. They closed around something small, hard, round. Xian halted, unfurling his fingers. Nestled in his hand was an iridescent sphere, frosted with specks of dirt and dried grass. The pearl. The tiny orb seemed to pulse in his palm, like it had a heartbeat of its own. It felt strangely heavy, as if it contained the density of universes. It stared back at him, an otherworldly eye, and Xian couldn't tear his gaze away. A pair of boots slammed down in front of Xian. He blinked up at a mercenary's roughened face. The man's eyes locked on the pearl and widened in recognition. "Give it to me," he growled. Xian leaped to his feet and ran. His short, feverish strides instinctively led him toward the lake, toward the mushy scent of poisonous algae, less deadly than the thundering footfalls gaining ground behind him. He propelled his legs faster, even though each step on his bare, torn soles was like running on burning coals. Up ahead lay the broken bridge. He reached the middle and hoisted himself onto the parapet wall. His heart hammered, his breaths breaking in harsh stabs. The lake gleamed an unnatural green, forcing him to confront the one thing he was ashamed of. He couldn't swim. The man approached. "Hand it over, boy." "Don't come any closer," Xian shouted, "or I'll jump into the lake." "I'll let you go, promise." The man held out a calloused hand. "You can run home to your mother." He lunged at Xian's leg. Xian dodged, but his foot slipped, and his head tilted sharply backward. Hitting the water was like being swallowed whole. In the green, opaque world under the surface, everything abruptly slowed, and his limbs seemed twice as heavy. The algae blooms loomed like hulking monsters, their formless fingers stretching toward him. He thrashed, kicking his legs frantically, his hand still curled in a fist. He couldn't drown. He couldn't lose the pearl that would cure his mother. Something slithered along his arm. He froze. A flash of reptilian scales, so white they were luminous. Then a long, limbless body was encircling him, graceful and terrifying, tightening around his sides like a giant tentacle. Horror gripped Xian's chest.